Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about Aquaman. So the new trailer just for this movie just came out, and I know a lot of people are very excited for this. I know that a lot of people cannot wait to see it. I know that there's a lot of DC fans out there that have been waiting for a good version of Aquaman to be told, and it looks like this movie has the potential to do that. However, I am also of the understanding, because this is just me, this is just my own point of view, this is how I feel about any film that does this. I feel that there is way too much CGI in this film, and I know that that's kind of the only way that they can do this. I know that in today's world, it's impractical to use practical effects, especially for a story that's trying to be told like this. At the same time, though, my question is, if you're just going to make it essentially an animated movie, why not actually have it be an animated movie? Why does it have to have live action storytelling in it? Because that is my biggest problem with this and so many other films. Like, I'm not just picking on DC. I'm not just picking on Aquaman here, but I'm so sick and tired of movies like this. You know, I bring this all the way back to Avatar. Avatar was really the first film that really took use and made use of this kind of technology to not only be able to blend the real and the CGI world, but also be able to, through the use of CGI and through the use of 3D, you know, build worlds and build depth into the worlds. And I will say that this trailer has that. This trailer is building a world. It is building a universe that is fascinating. And I will say that, you know, when it comes to certain shots, especially if I have to say one great thing about this trailer, the roof chase scene looks incredible. It looks so good. The practical effects, again, the actual practical stunt work that's being done there is really cool to look at. It was reminiscent to me a lot of Mission Impossible, which I think is probably the biggest thing that I can point to. Mission Impossible uses practical effects. There are some huge, big budget scenes that go in that film. There are some huge, big budget stunts that go in that film. I don't understand why, especially, you know, outside, at the very least, outside of the Atlantis area, you can't have that same use of practical effects. I don't understand why every single aspect of the film, the fact that even when they go into a cave, even when they're walking around the desert, you can tell that there's CGI being used. That is not good. And I know that I'm gonna get a lot of downvotes. I know that I'm gonna get a lot of hate films. Oh, you're just a Marvel fanboy. You just don't like DC. That's the only reason why. I have no problem with DC characters. DC characters are great. Again, if you want to talk about one of the greatest superhero films of all time, Dark Knight is still up there for best superhero film of all time, because that's how good it is, because that's how much I love the Batman character, especially in the hands of Christopher Nolan. The difference, though, is that Christopher Nolan took the Batman franchise and guess what? Brought it into the real world and used practical effects. And I know some people say, oh, we like this. We like that they're kind of bringing it back to the comics. And I understand why people like that. However, at the same time, I am still a person where if I have to look at CGI, digital noise for an entire film that's supposed to be taking place in the real world, guess what? I'm going to be critical of it. If I'm supposed to be looking at a fish that is supposed to look like a real fish, and it doesn't look like a real fish, but looks instead like a computer-generated one, well, guess what? I'm going to have a problem with that. I'm going to say, no, that's really bad. And you might say, oh, no, the CGI is great. It's so crisp and clean. Okay, that might be true. Again, both of these things can still be true. The CGI can be clean and can be crisp. That is true. However, it can also lack any sense of life. It can lack any sense of it being real life. Because remember, this is using real people in the real world doing real things and trying to integrate it into this digital world that's also, guess what, meant to be real. And that's the reason why I have a problem with this trailer. That's the reason why I have a problem with this movie. It's the reason why I have a problem with pretty much the DC universe altogether, because more so than Marvel, because Marvel has that too. Again, I was very critical, especially in Black Panther, because Black Panther used a lot more CGI than it needed to. So I was very critical of that film when it came to its CGI too. But when we look to the same thing with Avengers, oh my goodness, Avengers 2 was Age of Ultron was the CGI fest, and it was awful as far as the effects were concerned. But that is what I bring into, and that's what I'm talking about here with this film, is that there is just too much CGI. And it's not good. It's not good because, again, what makes good CGI for a film that's trying to take place in the real world? CGI, computer-generated imagery, effects that look like they could take place and do take place and are taking place in the real world, and that is something that these effects do not have. It doesn't matter how close it might get, there is always going to be something off until the technology is able to advance. It's the same reason why people had a big problem in Star Wars with Grand Moff Tarkin, because he did not look real. He may have been very impressive. Again, I would say, oh, that was very impressive how they were able to bring this actor essentially back from the dead. Same thing when you look to Blade Runner 2049, the way that they were able to bring that character back, Rachel back. When you look to Carrie Fisher, I mean, it was really crazy how they're able to do that. But it just doesn't look good. comparison to something that does look good. For example, especially in the Ant-Man universe and now soon in the Captain Marvel universe, the de-aging process, because that's not just practical effects, that's a mixture of practical and also CGI elements. That looks good. That looks real. They actually look like their young selves, and you cannot tell that they're CGI. You know that they're CGI. You know that there's something going on, but you can't quite figure out how they're actually doing that. Can transpose that with what's going on here. These are supposed to look like real things in the ocean. These people are supposed to be in real places, but you can tell that they're not, and it doesn't look right. It is not. It is missing something. And I know some people might say, "Oh, you're looking too far into this. You care too much about the effects," and that might be true. That again, there are so many different things that can at the same time be true. You can say it looks crisp and clean. Okay, you're right. It does look crisp and clean. You can say that it builds a universe. You can say that it's exciting. Sure, okay, I'll give that to you. But you cannot tell me, and if you try to, I'm sorry, but you're obviously not living in the real world. You cannot tell me that the CGI effects in this film look like they are real, look like they take place in the same universe that the actual living bodies are taking place in. They don't look like that. And again, you can say that I'm being too critical of it, but guess what? That's one of my biggest pet peeves in any film. If there is bad CGI, even going back, let me give you a big nitpicking example. The Social Network. No one would think of CGI for the Social Network, but guess what? They didn't film that during the winter, and in the very beginning, it's supposed to take place during the winter. And Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher, they added CGI breath. And I could tell it was CGI breath. Same thing happened in the movie Rent. I could tell they added CGI breath. We could tell that it didn't actually take place in the winter, and also it looked fake. Even then, I was critical of it. And so yes, I am a nitpick. Yes, I do care about effects, because guess what? I have seen so many movies using practical effects do amazing things, groundbreaking things, and do it in such a way where it's so impressive. If you want to talk about probably the best CGI or the best utilization of CGI that I have ever seen, at least in modern day, I would go to the Planet of the Apes, the newest Planet of the Apes, the Caesar saga, because with that, they were able to obviously have a CGI creature, but they made it not only look extremely lifelike as you possibly can, but also, guess what? The rest of the universe around stayed in the real world, used practical effects, and so therefore they limited the use of the digital world, and so therefore it allowed you to kind of just escape and kind of be able to accept the fact that yes, you knew this was not an actual ape, but it was also still looking so good that you were able to see that for what it was. Aquaman doesn't do that, and a lot of other superhero films especially do not do that. When a CGI film, or rather when a superhero film becomes a CGI fest, when it becomes so obsessed with trying to put all the noise on there, look at Ready Player One is a great example of that. Ready Player One was a cacophony of digital noise. I did not see a movie when I saw that. Instead, I saw just noise on the screen that was trying to play as something, that was trying to be like something. Nothing looked real, nothing worked. You said, oh, it was supposed to take place in the digital world. Yes, but if you read the book, you knew that it looked real. It looked still like it was in the real world, only it was like the creatures from video games came to life. Not what we got there. Same thing here. These are supposed to be the comics coming to life. But the problem is that when you mix this, very little real world interaction with this just excessive amount of CGI noise, guess what? It's not going to look right. Again, it might look good to you. You might say, oh, this is impressive, and it might be very impressive, the things that they're doing. You might say, oh, well, you didn't complain about this movie, and it's the same company. I don't care if it's the same company. It's all about how it is being used. It's all about the comparison to how much CGI is being used, how much practical effects are being used, and also how that is utilized. Because there are certain films that can do it very well. There are other films that really can't do it very well. And again, some people might also say, because the other argument I get is, this is just a trailer. Just wait till the real movie. They have plenty of time to do post-production work. That might be true, but I have said that and given the benefit of the doubt to so many films for that very reason, and then when I go to see the movie, I've been disappointed. So I have to say, at this point with Aquaman, I'm gonna go see it. I've been going to go see it ever since the first trailer came out, ever since it was announced. Jason Momoa, to me, all the jokes in the trailer too, like if we're gonna get into more of the, getting away from the CGI conversation, if we're gonna get into the actual words that were being spoken, they try to make him too funny. They tried to make him too funny, and it wasn't natural. And that's the biggest problem also with DC, is that they're trying to compete with Marvel. Marvel has kind of gotten this market of being able to, have a mixture of drama and comedy, but DC is just having a dramatic story and then throwing in lines, throwing in bits, hoping that they stick. and it just comes across as being not only disingenuous, but also it's just unnatural in a lot of ways too. And so with this character, especially, again, I have no problems with Jason Momoa. I just don't know if he's the guy to be able to lead a franchise, to lead an actual film itself. The chemistry between him and Amber Heard, great. I think the chemistry between them is awesome. I really liked some of the things, some of the characters that they revealed through this trailer, giving more of the backstory. But also at the same time, I'm kind of concerned. Are they giving too much away? Did they give too many plot points away? I honestly, I don't know. Again, we'll find out when we actually see the movie. But to me, there are just so many things that I can look to. There are so many things that I can point out where all of the good that might exist in there, because again, I go back to that rooftop scene, looks great. But even then, you can tell when they're using CGI as a background element. And when a film can't have that seamless transition, cannot have that seamless garment almost of being able to blend the real world with the digital world, it just looks like a mess to me. But anyway, guys, I know that most of you are not going to like this, but please don't just be like, oh, I'm going to downvote this guy's video because he hates Aquaman. No. I want to have a conversation. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You know, am I wrong? Is there something in here that I said that is actually factually wrong? If you have a different opinion than me, well, again, we're going to have a different opinion. You know, I respect the fact that you might think it looks clean, and that's fine. But again, I go back to that main point. You cannot say that it looks real. You cannot say that it blends well together, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, because you know what? A lot of people, especially a lot of DC fanboys, who just gonna be like, oh, you're a Marvel fanboy, and I'm just like your video, blah, blah, blah. I mean, go back to my Aquaman, your first trailer reaction, and it was like an amazing amount of dislikes because everyone was like, oh, you're just an idiot. So please, please support the video, and please, again, bring in some thoughtful discourse as well, because I'd greatly appreciate it. Anyways, anyway, guys, very exciting news. So I just got my AT&T fiber installed. So I tried a test upload, and oh my goodness, it's like 1,000 times faster uploading. So eventually I got my PC parts, at least some of my PC parts ordered and coming in. So once I get my actual PC set up, I'm going to be able to put higher quality videos at a lot faster. And I cannot wait for that because I want to be able to try and up the ante with this channel, not just with obviously the content, but also with the quality of the channel as well. And so I want to thank you guys so much for being so supportive, and also for giving me advice and telling me things that I need to change, things I need to work on, things that I should look forward to in the future, because it really does mean a lot to me, guys. So thank you so much. Anyway, guys, you have a great day, and as always, God bless.